G'day guys, my name is Wildkard, welcome back to my channel. It's Tuesday, it's news day. Let's take a look at what's been happening in the world of rugby. First up, Super Rugby results, and we're going to have a look at some news from Europe, England, preliminary squad selections for the Wallabies tour, I guess Australia tour, and yeah, let's have a look at the news and let's go through what happened last week. First up, let's go through the Super Rugby results. Crusaders, Endura, Friday evening, dark, cold, Christchurch. Yeah, this was probably one of the toughest games that any club teams can play. To play the Crusaders in Christchurch in New Zealand is a very difficult task. Nothing to be really ashamed of here, this game for Endurance. 61 points to 3. Despite the scoreboard, the Endurance actually put up a really good fight this game. Unlike the game the Endurance played against the Wellington Hurricanes, they actually put up a good fight against the Crusaders. It's not like the Wellington game where they just kind of like given up. They really, try their best, put up some hard tackles, big shots, and the Crusaders just a bit too clinical, bit too much experience, and obviously the Crusaders has been working together as a team for many years, and the Endurance, after only 1 year in the competition, was just, outgunned. There's really nothing to be ashamed of. It's an experience that the team really would help them grow for future. So it's one of those experiences you're just gonna remember and relish, I guess. Following this game, the Crusaders had their annual awards given out. Ethan Blackadder was named the Player of the Year for the Crusaders. I thought maybe he didn't really deserve that, to be honest. I thought Blackadder has made a lot of small mistakes this year for the Crusaders. His execution was not very clinical. A lot of drop balls, mate. Yeah, gotta do better than that for the All Blacks. And as a result, I thought Pablo Matera was probably the Crusader of the Year for me. However, they did get Pablo Matera an award, what's called the Temaro Hirohi Award, which kind of given to someone who shows dedication, perseverance, strength, and bravery. I thought so it's kind of like, I don't even know what you might call this, kind of like the leader of the club sort of award. But yeah, he gets that instead. I felt like, that should be given to Pablo Matera and the Player of the Year, but it's the Crusaders. They do what they want, and who am I to say? And then later on that Friday night, Reds versus Moana Pacifica in Queensland. This was a really poorly presented game. The TV broadcast did not have a clock. Yeah, and then there was 4 yellow cards out given out this game. Is it 4 or 3? I think it was 4 yellow cards given out, and the fact that there was no clock, you had no idea how long the yellow cards was going to last for or when the players are going to be coming back onto the field. So it was just really for me, it was like unwatchable without a clock because so many things that was happening on the field, you have no concept of what's going on. Like if a team's been attacking for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, how long has it been inside the opposition half? You have no concept of what's actually happening on the field without the clock. So it was really poor. The commentators didn't really reference the clock very much throughout the game, so it made the game a little bit more difficult to watch as well. So I didn't really enjoy this game at all. But the Reds was able to squeeze out a win, 34 points, 22. The Moana Pacifica did look like they were making a comeback towards the end of the game. Albeit you're not really sure because you don't know what the clock is. But Harry Wilson was able to put an intercept 10 minutes before, I guess. You have to look, again, you don't know when this intercept happened. It was because without a clock. It really put everything out of perspective. But if the last intercept try didn't happen for Wilson, Moana Pacifica was looking dangerous, on track to potentially put an upset. But the execution for the Moana Pacifica was just a little bit off and not able to close out this game over the Reds. Following this game, this is something I'm really a bit angry about. James O'Connor finished the game with a second-grade hamstring injury. So if you watch this game, right, if you watch the games that James O'Connor has been involved in the last couple of weeks now, his right leg is heavily strapped. The amount of strapping on the leg tells me that he should not be playing. It was just bizarre how they even have him out on the field. And generally what happens is that if you have an injury, your body will try to compensate the weakness with other parts of your muscles, other parts to compensate that. So the other parts is basically working overtime to compensate for the injury. And basically what happens is you're going to end up with, overloading other parts of your body like your hamstring. So it's very likely that this occurred because of his hamstring is compensating for the weak knee and pulled itself. Yeah, this is I think this is like negligence in my opinion from the health staff at the Reds. How did you clear this guy to play? Like, just if you just watch him, the amount of tape he has on his right leg, there's no way on earth that's a healthy person who should be allowed to play need that much tape. Like, it's just heavily strapped from all the way from the top of his thighs all the way down to like his ankle. Like, the amount of tape that was on that leg, I'm mind blown why he was even allowed on the field in the first place. But there you go. He's injured again. He can't play the Test series against England at least. And this is unbelievable. This is like negligence from the Reds team. So then later on that on Saturday afternoon, the first game Saturday, the Chiefs versus the Western Force, dominant victory over the Western Force by the Chiefs. Not much to say. The Chiefs really dominated everything. Set piece, attack, lineouts, scrums, everything was going for the Chiefs. The Western Force did have these moments where they looked really good when they did score tries, but they were not able to have that consistency throughout the game. The Chiefs much better than the week before, not throwing away points. Ioane was not playing at 10 this week. They had who do they have back at 10? Gatlin. Brent Gatlin was back at 10. Really brought that consistency. And Gatlin and Tupea was a really good combination as well at 10-12. Set up a lot of opportunity. 3 tries for Quinton Patea. So, yeah, this was much, much better performance by the Chiefs this week than their performance last week over the Rebels. Not really much else to say. And just to give you an idea, right? Sam Kang was put off early this game. He looked like he suffered a little bit of a leg injury. And just as precaution, they put him off the field. All right, they didn't just strap him up and put him back, take him off the field. So there was a bit of a speculation how he could be like injured, but he was walking around freely in the changing room afterwards. So he should be okay. If he has a bit of a knock or something on his leg, it's not gonna be he should be looking after. Like, they're not gonna just strap him up and put him back on the field the next week like the Reds do. Next up, we got the Hurricanes playing the Rebels in the Saturday afternoon. This was a pretty one-sided affair for the Hurricanes, to be fair. The Hurricanes really just, outmuscled the Rebels. There was a really spot of shining light for the Rebels where Reece Hodge, I guess it's a shining light, copped a bit of an injury, looked like hurt his leg. He was taken off the field, but I think he's okay. There's no news that he's injured. So no news is good news for Reece Hodge. So he should be okay. So he was taken off the field 7 minutes into the game. They put on Ripley. Yeah, they put on Ripley, what's his first name? Let's have a look at his first name. Lucas Ripley. And he comes off Reece Hodge at the fullback position and scores 3 tries. Hat-trick Ripley for the Rebels. He looked really, really good. He's the only one who's looking threatening. He was able to get over the advantage consistently. Every time he got the ball, he looked dangerous. And he was able to he actually was able to outrun Jordie Barrett out wide to score these tries. Like, at least 2 of the tries was, maybe at least 1 of the tries, he was able to beat Jordie Barrett out wide with the space out wide. So yeah, that was really, really impressive. Anybody to beat Jordie Barrett on defense is a big, big, big thumbs up in the in the coach's eyes. And I thought this was really impressive. There could be a statement made for him to just take that 15 jersey over Reece Hodge, or maybe even the wing position. I thought he was really, really, really good. So Patrick Ripley, in the end, the Hurricanes 45-22, and the Rebels, I checked the scoreboard. They are playing the Highlanders this weekend. The Highlanders is 8th, the Rebels is 9th. Even if they beat Highlanders with the bonus point, they still can't make the top 8 because Highlanders is 6 points ahead of the Rebels. So the Rebels have completely shut themselves out from any opportunities of making into the finals in the elimination rounds, essentially. And then the big game of the weekend, the Brumbies versus the Blues. King Bowden led the Blues 21-19. This was awesome game. The referee was controversial everywhere. The Blues was dominated up front by the Brumbies 4-pack. And the Brumbies was able to dominate with the lineouts, set up 2 more tries, dominate the scrummaging. There was penalties everywhere. The Blues had a bizarre moment where they were playing against 13 players against the Brumbies, and they were not able to score till extra time in the first half. It took them they were literally in the Brumbies half for like 30 minutes and not able to score any points. It was bizarre. The Brumbies, on the other hand, was just giving away penalties left and right. They should have been like, they got 2 yellow cards as a result of it, but they probably should have been given more than that. There was a lot of yellow cards, a lot of penalties in the breakdown thrown out by the Brumbies. And in a really bizarre twist of fate, the Brumbies was penalised in the last moment of the game in extra time, 81st minute, right in front of the goalpost. But this was a controversial penalty as well. Damon Murphy says Brumbies player playing the ball in the ruck, full-on penalty right in front of the goalpost. Beauden Barrett goes, "Don't worry, mate. Damon Murphy, you don't have to deal with the Brumbies fans in the car park. I'll finish the game for you." Takes the drop goal to close out the game, 21-19 for the win. This was such a huge game. The Brumbies actually scored more tries, and the Blues got a few more penalty goals. Parafeta missed a penalty right in front. Yeah, it shows you how much pressure these players were under. Right in front. He did a Lolasio. Yes, he did a Lolasio. He missed the kick right in front. Bizarre finish to the game. Beauden Barrett. Who else could it be? So let's have a look at the controversy out of this game. This is a controversy. The final moments. So a lot of people, obviously, the Twitter warrior saying that this is Dalton Papali'i on the ground. Saying that Papali'i was on the ground. The Jackler over the ball. This is the fair contest. This should be the penalty against the Blues. And the Brumbies should have won the game, right? But this is the thing with Twitter and, screenshots. If you watch what actually happened leading up into the game, so we can have a look at this right now. It's actually, Damon Murphy actually made the right decision here. So if we watch this, let me just turn off the sound. So if you would just watch this, right? You can see this is Dalton Papali'i. He's going into the clean out. The tackler gets tackled for the clean out. So he's going in for the clean out. This is already a ruck. Okay? So there's one player in the ruck. Papali'i is going for the clean out. He's still supporting his feet here, actually. He's not on his knees. So he's technically supporting his weight here. So we can just look in a minute. See? He's actually supporting his weight. Now the ruck's formed. This player is in here. I think this Andy Muirhead. He's in here. So now the ruck is formed. You cannot put your hands in. This is a legitimate ruck here. There's nothing wrong with what Papali'i is doing here. But Muirhead pulls Papali'i down to his knees. See, he pushes him down to his knees. Now he's off his feet. And Muirhead goes over him to jackal the ball. So if Papali'i falls onto his knees by himself, Muirhead is allowed to go over the ball because he's no longer a valid player in the ruck. But the fact that Muirhead pulls him down, the ruck has been formed, and he cannot put his hand on the board anymore. So that is what the penalty is. So just taking screenshots like this and say, "Oh, this should be a penalty," it's not exactly the full story. So there we go. The Blues are protesting. He's over the ball. The ruck has been formed, and the referee agrees. And Beauden Barrett says, "Don't worry, Damon Murphy. I'll save you. I'll end the game right here, right now with the drop goal." So yeah, it's a bit of a controversy, but I think the referee made the right decision there. Let me know your thoughts. I think that's pretty clear. Papali'i was on his feet. He gets pulled down by the ball, person that's jackling the ball. The ruck has been formed. He cannot put his hand on the ball, and the referee's made the right decision there. Let me know your thoughts. That's my assessment. So also we know that Tom Banks has been offered huge money to go play in Japan, $2.8 million over 2 years. As a result, he's not going to be eligible to play for the Wallabies next year in the Rugby World Cup unless he gets selected for the 3 players overseas cap. So this Wallabies is allowed to select 3 players from overseas. Unless he falls into those 3 players, he's not actually eligible. So maybe he can still make it if they don't pick Cooper. So Cooper might be reaching there's a lot of upcoming young talent for the number 10 spot. So Cooper might not be able to be selected just because how stacked the number 10 spot is starting to look for the Wallabies. And so maybe Tom Banks can still make it one of the 3 players that's been selected from overseas. But $2.8 million, I don't blame him. I mean, he has to prioritize his family, his own financial well-being over, some fans in Canberra that wants to pay $20 to see him play on Saturday night, right? Like, it's really like these professional athletes needs to take care of themselves, because a lot of them only have, 10, 15 years to make that money for pretty much like the rest of their life. They have to set themselves up with their family for the rest of their lives with those years. And I think it's the right decision to go overseas. So Tom Banks, would like to see you in Australia, but I think you got to do what you're going to do for the benefit of your family. Finally, they came out of the game on the weekend, the Brumbies game. Caleb Clark has suffered a bit of hamstring injury. Really, really sad to see. I really want to see Clark to play for the All Blacks. Hopefully he get the quick recovery. We haven't seen him for quite a couple of years now for the All Blacks, so really want to see him back. And the final game of the weekend, the only game that the Australian team won, 32 points to 20. Waratahs over the Highlanders in Dunedin, breaking the hoodoo, so to speak. This is another game where the Waratahs I thought the Waratahs played really well, really smart in this game. They were able to control the speed and rhythm of the game, especially when the Highlanders had their impact players coming off the bench in the form of Fakatava and Makaele Tu'u, the big finishers for the team coming off the bench. The Waratahs was really able to control the speed, the rhythm, not allowing the Highlanders build any of the momentum, and to finish the game, closing the game 32 points to 20 with really good game management. I thought this basically, despite this win, the Highlanders are still qualified for top 8. They forced the 8th spot, but still 6 points ahead of the Rebels, who is at 9th. So Highlanders should be breathed a sigh of relief, regardless of the results here. And then us following this game, good news for the All Blacks. Folau Fakatava, the reserve number 9. I thought this guy's the future of All Blacks rugby at number 9. This guy has the talent to be the best number 9 in the world. He's so good, so talented. I cannot wait for him to play for the All Blacks. And finally, he's going to be given the opportunity. There's a bit of a controversy for his eligibility. So the law initially said that you need to be living in New Zealand or any country in that fact 3 years before you're eligible to play for that country. That rule has been changed to 5 years on the year that Fakatava was eligible. So on his third year of become eligible to play for New Zealand, that rule has been changed to 5 years. So the New Zealand Rugby put in a petition, put in a petition to for an exemption for him to play, and the World Rugby has cleared Fakatava to play under the original rule that he only needed 3 years to qualify. So Fakatava is qualified, and also this guy has been in New Zealand since age of 16. His years living in New Zealand only started counting when he's 18. So technically, he's actually lived in New Zealand for 5 years if you count from the age of 16 when he arrived in New Zealand. So maybe with that in consideration as well, he was given an exemption to play for the All Blacks and this year. So he's available for selection, and hopefully, I really hope he gets to start over Aaron Smith, to be really frank, for the All Blacks. He's so good. Even just the finisher, he's so good as an All Black. And also Sam Gilbert will be getting a bit of match ban most likely following his dump tackle on Hooper this game. He got a red card, lifting Hooper in a clean out, dumping on his head. So he's most likely going to see a few weeks of match ban. Finally, the Heineken Cup is coming up this weekend. It's Leinster versus La Rochelle. This will be a kind of historical moment for both teams. La Rochelle looking to become, I think, the 6th French team to win the Heineken Cup, whereas the Leinster is looking to get a 5th Heineken Cup title. Quite a historical moment. And Johnny Sexton is going to be, one of the key players with King Healy alongside him. They're becoming the most decorated player in the history of the Heineken Cup, essentially. So history to be made, and the Leinster is heavily favoured to win this game. So I can't wait to watch this game. This will be, one of the few games I watch from Europe just because of time difference. It's a bit difficult for me, but I will watch this game. Yeah. And Johnny. And this will set up a good 3-test series coming up for the New Zealand. Anyway, the England, Sir Eddie has selected a preliminary 36-man training squad for the upcoming Australia tour. It's a bit interesting selections here. So Joe Thokanasiga joined the team. I thought this guy's super, super good. Last time he played against Australia, he just put a huge number against Australia. Really good to see him back. Anthony Watson, huge return for England as well. Mano Tuilangi, still nurturing a little bit of injury, but good to see him back. Farrell also back from injury. Huge returns. They have 10 uncapped players in the England side, also including return Mako Vinapola. So there's some really interesting returns in this squad. But on the other side of the coin, a few big names missed out as well. Jamie George, Nick Iseweke, what his name is, he's a lock. Joe Marler missed out in selection. I thought it was Sam Simmons missed out again. And Kyle Sinkler. So I don't know what's going on here. I feel like this is obviously not the actual selection. I feel like Eddie Jones just wants to try some newer players in this training camp. But I'm really surprised that Kyle Sinkler, Joe Marler, and Sam Simmons did not get selected. Jamie George as well. I thought these guys are just superbly well for the England in Six Nations in their forwards. In the backs, Elliot Daly, I thought he should be dropped anyway. George Ford, not really used much at all. Joe Merchant, I'm surprised. Again, this is really weird. Joe Merchant, I thought it was really good for the England. Jack Noel, extremely well as well. Ben Youngs, good off the bench. So yeah, I think this is definitely not this is definitely just like Eddie Jones trying out new players, trying out new combinations mostly, and it's like really not an indicator for the team that it's going to be bringing to Australia. I'll be very surprised if players like Kyle Sinkler and Joe Merchant especially and Jack Noel are not being selected for the Australian tour. I would be like super surprised by that. And also Lewis Liner is selected for the squad. I think Eddie might just bring him over for the media value to Australia and debut him on Australian soil. Would be quite a big media talking point for England rugby and for rugby overall. So yeah, Malo Tuilangi was pulled off the field in his game on the weekend due to a bit of a tight knee. So hopefully he's going to be okay. Let's quickly finish everything now. The classic All Blacks played Spain over the weekend, beat Spain by 33 points to 26. I don't know, I didn't watch this game, but that's the result. And Spain was disqualified from Rugby World Cup again. This would have been a good match for them to prepare for the Rugby World Cup, but yeah, there you go. Now it's just a fun match for everybody to watch. So the Australia A is going to be coming back to play in the Pacific Nations Cup. So this is good for news for both the Pacific Nations and for the Australian younger teams to build the Australian depth. So the Australian A team will be playing Samoa, Fiji, and Tonga in the July Test Series. Gives these teams some really needed experience, and this is experience that the Australian team needed as well. We really do need a second team that can feed up to the first tier team in the Wallabies. So this is really good news for everyone. Finally, the next news. So this is something happened in the sevens. This guy basically anyway, I don't know what to talk about. So basically, you can go watch this. This guy basically scored a try, and in a weird situation where he tries to run down the clock, and both teams have no interest for this game to have such a big score margin. So this guy was just standing in the end zone for 2 minutes, run down the clock, and nobody was contesting. And there was a lot of controversy for this, but go have a look at this. This was an interesting take. This is a sevens game. And then next up we have Quade Cooper was spotted in America, in the LA Guild Tennis training camp, in the jersey as well. But he's apparently just there to use visiting their training facility, and he's for this Japanese team, but he's not actually looking at swapping to play for LA. But there could be a potential for Major League Rugby move, as he's becoming. Yeah, he probably be getting more money there than he could be getting anywhere else in the world, coming up to the end of his career. And also former Wallaby Adam Coleman, he has a Tonga heritage, and he's looking at potentially playing for Tonga for the Rugby World Cup. So that's another huge addition for the Tongan rugby coming up with 2019, coming off 2019 Rugby World Cup. Adam Coleman played for the Wallabies in 2019 World Cup, so he hasn't played for the Wallabies since, and he will be eligible to play for Tonga in 2023. So yeah, another huge addition to the Tongan side for the Rugby World Cup. And the pool of death is really starting to look bad for the Springboks. Yeah. And also, Rassie Erasmas. So basically, there's a bit of a funny thing happened last week. The World Rugby basically changed the law on like water boy to try to speed up the game. So there's like restrictions on how many water boys are allowed on the field, and there's limits on only 2 water breaks from both teams per half. And they specifically said a coach or a director of rugby is not allowed to be on the field. And Rassie Erasmus was like, yeah. He was speaking to his manager. Basically, they thought the director of rugby is such a formal title to him. Maybe the director of coach will be a much better title for him. So basically, I hope what Rassie does is he just gonna go and change his title, right? He can literally just be like, okay, from now on, I am no longer the director of rugby of Springbok of South Africa, of the Springboks. I'm just gonna be, assistant to the, not even assistant coach, just like assistant sideline manager, right? Then he'll be able to go on the field again. There's no, he can do whatever he wants. He's Rassie Erasmus. He can literally do that, and he can run the water on for his team again. I can't wait. I can't wait for him to do that. Just change himself, assistant sideline manager, right? And he'll be able to run the water on again. I can't wait for him to just change his own title and surpass the law and just give the middle finger to World Rugby. That'll be really fun. Do it. Please, Rassie, do it. Just do it. You can just do it. Just change the title of your job and do it. And see what happens. And this will be really, really good. Finally, let's have a look at quickly finish off the news. So David Pocock is going to be potentially becoming a senator and going to take over the Liberals seat in Canberra. So congratulations. And some more stuff from Wales. So let's just finish off this last bit. So the Welsh director Nigel Walker came out this week to kind of calm down the rumors that one of the Welsh team was going to get dropped from the Union, or the Dragons or the Osprey. Was a rumor that was leaked, was going to get dropped from one of the Welsh regions from they'll get chopped down to 4-3. So there was a lot of uproar in Wales, and the director of rugby had to come out to calm things down in Wales. That's basically it. And that's the news for this week, guys. Let me know your thoughts on some of the articles. Do you want to see Rassie Erasmus changing his title? I hope he does. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I do appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys later this week for the final round of Super Rugby before the finals. And this is a huge run. Crusaders versus the Brumbies and Blues versus the Waratahs. Oh, man. I don't know. I kind of want to go to this game, but yeah, we'll have to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I do appreciate you being here. And like, comment, subscribe, yada, 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 yada. See you guys later. Cheers.